These have to be two of the best hearing aids ever created. But which one is best? Hey guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, and in this video, I'm comparing the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aid with the Oticon Intent hearing aid to see if one of them is actually better than the other. Anytime we have two brand new hearing aid technologies released within months of each other, I always have people reach out to me asking, hey Dr. Cliff, which one of these hearing aids is actually better? The Intent was an upgrade from Oticon's previous generation technology that was already pretty impressive. And over the course of 6 months, the Oticon Intent was widely regarded as one of the best hearing aids ever created. That is, until the release of the new Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aid that was released in August of 2024. And after what was probably the most successful hearing aid launch in the history of hearing aid launches, it naturally started the debate between whether or not the Oticon Intent hearing aids were better or if the new Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids were better. Naturally, since I've done detailed reviews on both of these hearing aids and I have fit a lot of people with each of these hearing aids, I felt like I should weigh in on the key differences between them to help you decide which one is right for you. But before I do, if you could do me a huge favor and click the like button, it really helps out the channel. And while you're at it, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well, because that ensures that you never miss one of my newly released videos, and I publish a ton of new videos every single week. That being said, it's greatly appreciated, and if you are wearing one of these hearing aids, go ahead and tell us your experience down in the comment section. That might be the difference between someone going with the ones that you're wearing and the other pair. Like I mentioned before, I do have detailed reviews of both of these hearing aids that you guys can find linked down in the description. So if one of these devices piques your interest or you just want to get more information than what I'm able to share in this video, you can go ahead and watch those review videos as well. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the different technology levels of the Oticon Intent. The Intent hearing aids come in 4 different technology levels. You have the Intent 1, you have the Intent 2, the Intent 3, and the Intent 4, with the Intent 1 being their premium offering. The Sphere Infinio comes in only 2 different technology levels. You have level 90 and level 70, with level 90 being their premium offering. Now, if you're trying to decide which technology level is right for you, just keep in mind that each time you drop down in technology level, it takes features and customizations away from your hearing care professional when they're trying to optimize the performance of those devices for you. However, it typically reduces the cost of the hearing aids, and cost is extremely variable depending on where you live, the technology level, the services, whether they're bundled or unbundled, and the quality of those services. So my recommendation is the same for everybody. You should be going with the highest level of technology that you can reasonably afford, and if you cannot afford it, you should be dropping down to whatever technology level you can afford, and then it's the job of your hearing care professional to get the most out of those devices for you. That being said, you can probably get yourself a pair of Oticon Intent hearing aids at a lower cost because you can drop down to a 3rd tier or a 4th tier as opposed to the Sphere Infinio hearing aids that you can only drop down to a 2nd tier. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the ranges of hearing loss that you can fit with the Oticon devices and the Phonak devices. As you can tell, both of them are receiver in canal hearing aids, which means you can change the receiver wires to stronger receivers that have more gain and more output, so you can technically fit anything from a mild level hearing loss up to a profound level hearing loss with both of these hearing aids. The Oticon Intent hearing aids can use a 60 decibel receiver, 85 decibel receiver, 100 decibel receiver, or a 105 decibel receiver. The lower end of this range here you can use rubber domes with or custom ear molds, but once you get up to 105 decibel receiver, you need to use a custom ear mold. When using the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids, you can use a standard, medium, power, or ultra power receiver, and again, with the lower range of these, you can use a rubber dome or custom ear mold, but once you get up to the ultra power level, you have to use a custom ear mold for those. The good news is both Oticon and Phonak accept 3D digital ear impressions from your hearing care professional for an extremely comfortable and acoustically optimized custom ear mold. Okay, so as far as customization goes, meaning the programmability of these devices, when you look at an Oticon Intent hearing aid, you can get up to 24 different adjustment bands in the top tier device for them. This will allow your hearing care professional to be able to customize the audio of these hearing aids exactly to your hearing loss prescription for average, loud, and soft level sounds. I do have to say that the Oticon Intent hearing aids do an excellent job of amplifying high frequencies, which is where most people's hearing loss is at, and it does that much better than the Phonak hearing aids, especially if you're using a rubber dome. I do have to say though that the amount of digital features that are available inside of an Oticon Intent hearing aid are somewhat lacking. I mean, outside of adjusting for handling noise, wind noise, noise reduction, and directional microphones, there's not a whole lot that you can do with them. The Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids have up to 20 different adjustment bands, so it's a little bit less than what you can get with the Oticon Intents, but they are still very customizable, especially with all the digital features that Phonak has inside of their hearing aids. These features include AutoSense OS 6.0, which automatically adjusts your program settings based on the environments that you're in, and other features like noise reduction, directional microphone controls, soft speech enhancement, and impulse noise reduction, to name a few. The Sphere Infinio can struggle with amplifying up to high-frequency prescriptive targets, especially if you're using a rubber dome. If you want to be able to amplify high frequencies much better with a Phonak hearing aid, you're going to have to go with a custom ear mold. But when it comes to streaming audio, you can customize a Phonak Audio Sphere Infinio hearing aid substantially better than what you can an Oticon Intent hearing aid, and it allows your hearing care professional to customize for different types of streamed audio like music media, speech media, and even phone calls. Of course, the best way to customize the amplification and therefore the sound quality of both of these hearing aids is to use real ear measurement. Real ear measurement is the only way that your hearing care professional can verify that you're getting proper amplification from your Oticon Intent hearing aids and your Phonak Audio Sphere Infinio hearing aids. Unfortunately, only around 30% of hearing care professionals actually perform real ear measurement, which is a huge problem because if you wear either one of these hearing aids without real ear measurement being done, you are leaving a significant amount of benefit on the table. If you'd like to learn more about real ear measurement, I will have this video linked down in the description as well. Of course, you learning about real ear measurement and you receiving real ear measurement are two completely different things. So if you're looking for a hearing care professional who actually does this critical verification measure, I highly recommend that you go to my HearingUp.com website and find a HearingUp network member in your area. HearingUp members have been vetted and are committed to providing comprehensive audiologic best practices, including real ear measurement, to ensure you can hear your absolute best. So if you need help identifying which one of these hearing aids is best for you and ensure that it is fit and programmed for optimal performance, finding a HearingUp network member in your area is your best bet. Okay, let's move on to water resistance. When it comes to resisting water or dirt and dust infiltration into these hearing aids, both of these hearing aids are excellent for that because they both have an IP68 rating, which is as high as the rating scale goes. Of course, I have to say that the Phonak Audio Sphere Infinio hearing aids dramatically exceed this IP68 rating criteria. These are pretty much some of the only hearing aids that I cannot kill by jumping into the pool, jumping into the shower, or sweating all over. When it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, the Oticon Intent hearing aids actually have 3 different forms of Bluetooth. It has the new LE Audio Bluetooth, it has Bluetooth Low Energy, and it has the ASHA Bluetooth protocol. LE Audio is definitely the Bluetooth of the future, and the only reason why the Intents still have Bluetooth Low Energy or the ASHA Bluetooth protocol is because not a lot of other wireless devices are using LE Audio Bluetooth yet. Of course, when I had a chance to test the LE Audio of the Intent hearing aids, the sound quality was substantially better than any other form of Bluetooth that I've ever listened to, and it actually lowers the battery drain as well. LE Audio Bluetooth also allows for a new feature called Auracast Broadcast Audio that I don't have time to talk about in this video. I do have another video posted about that, but this will be a game changer for individuals who want to hear better in public venues. Now, if you have to use the Bluetooth Low Energy or the ASHA Bluetooth protocol, I'm sad to say that with the Oticon Intents, neither one of those are fantastic. Now, the Phonak Sphere Infinio just got an upgrade from Bluetooth version 4.2 up to Bluetooth version 5.3, but they are still using Bluetooth Classic. Now, Bluetooth Classic is nice because it gives you very universal connectivity because pretty much any wireless device is using Bluetooth Classic, so you have a direct compatibility there. But you can also pair with up to 8 different devices with your Phonak hearing aids, and you can have 2 active connections at the exact same time, which is not something that you can say about the Oticon Intent devices. It technically uses Bluetooth Low Energy as well, but only to connect with the My Phonak app. Now, you may have caught on that even though it has Bluetooth version 5.3, they are technically not using LE Audio Bluetooth yet. That only comes with a future firmware update. But rest assured, when that firmware update comes out, you don't have to switch devices. It will be an update that happens inside of the hearing aids that gives you that compatibility. As for when that firmware update will become available, Who knows? Both the Oticon Intent hearing aids and the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids have their own proprietary apps that you can connect to adjust different parameters inside of each of these devices. For the Oticon Intent, it's the Oticon Companion app, and for the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids, it's the My Phonak app. Both of these apps are adequate for adjusting between different programs, different volume settings, a couple of additional customizations with the 3-band equalizer, a little bit of noise reduction, and ultimately remote care with your hearing care professional so they can adjust your hearing aids through your smart device even if you're not in their office. While we're on the topic of connectivity, let's talk about telecoils for a second. So the Oticon Intent hearing aids, I don't care what level you go with, anywhere between Intent 1 through Intent 4, all come standard with a telecoil, but you cannot get a telecoil inside of the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids. Now, if you're not familiar with what the benefits of a telecoil are, sometimes you can find a public venue that has a loop system in it that gives you direct access to the audio of that venue. Think of like when you go to a Broadway show and they're singing up there on stage. If you're struggling to hear it through the regular speakers of the venue, you could tap into the hearing loop system with your telecoil and get that audio streamed directly into both of your ears. As of right now, this feature is still a very good feature to have, considering that Auracast, that would do basically a similar thing, is not yet widely available. Unfortunately, for the Phonak Sphere Infinio devices, they do not have a telecoil like I mentioned, and you're just going to have to wait for Auracast to become more widely available. When it comes to listening to music, both of these hearing aids are actually really good, but you have to separate out listening to streamed music or listening to live music. I will say that when it comes to listening to streamed music, because you have so many more customizations with the Phonak devices, they probably take the win there. But when you're listening to live music, a lot of my professional musicians and audiophile patients actually prefer the sound quality of the Oticon Intent hearing aids. Of course, this is also very heavily dependent with how your hearing care professional programs the different music programs inside of each of these hearing aids. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about rechargeability. So both the Oticon Intents and the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids, as of this recording, only come in rechargeable form factors. While they may come out with disposable battery options at some point in the future, right now it's all about rechargeable lithium-ion technology. Both of these hearing aids use contact charging. This is actually a beneficial thing when it comes to speeding up the charging process, and I feel like a lot of different hearing aid manufacturers are starting to go away from the inductive charging. The Oticon Intent hearing aids will get you up to 20 hours of battery life on a full charge, and it only takes 2 hours to go from 0 battery up to 100% battery inside of your hearing aids. The Oticon Intent hearing aids, when they were initially released, they came with a desktop charger, not the smart charger that I'm holding in my hands right now. The desktop charger did not store any battery inside of it. It didn't have an internal power bank, but the smart charger does have an internal power bank, and the well that's inside of there is plenty big to handle most of the ear molds that you would order from Oticon. With the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids, you get 16 hours of battery life, which obviously is less than what you get with the Intents, but when you switch into the spheric speech and loud noise program to separate speech from background noise using the Deep Sonic chip, that drops down to only 7 hours of battery life. Basically, you cannot use these hearing aids inside of that program setting all the time because you'll run out of battery before you're halfway through your day. And it takes 3 hours to go from a dead battery up to a fully charged battery with the Sphere Infinios. As far as the rechargeable case for the Sphere Infinios, it actually stores a charge, which is great, so you can charge it up on the go if you need to, but the well inside of there for the domes and the ear molds is a lot smaller, and that's probably my biggest issue with this charging case, is that if you happen to have medium to large size custom ear molds on these hearing aids, it's very difficult to fit them inside of there. Perhaps the biggest difference between both of these hearing aids is the physical size of the hearing aids. And I'm going to take some photos for you guys so you can do a direct comparison there, but for right now, let me just kind of show you here on the screen. This right here is the Oticon Intent hearing aid to give you a general size and what that looks like. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you the Phonak hearing aid, and you can tell that this one is substantially larger than what the Intent is, but the true test is me actually putting them on my ears. So let me put the Phonak device in my right ear, and yes, I am a glasses wearer, so that can potentially cause an issue depending on the size of the unit behind my ear. And let me put on the Oticon hearing aid in my left ear, just to kind of give you a few looks here. So if you look at me head on, You might be able to tell a difference between how my ear is getting pushed out on one side versus the other. Let me spin around. This is the Oticon Intent hearing aid on this side. Give you a few looks at what that looks like. This one's actually, I believe, like a graphite gray color. The Phonak hearing aid is more of a silver color, which might stand out a little bit more. I do recommend that you actually find a color that matches your hair so they blend in better, but you can definitely tell from a size perspective that the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aid is substantially larger than the Oticon Intent hearing aid. All right, here are the actual photos of a side-by-side with the Oticon Intent and the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids. You can see that it is not even close. The Oticon Intent hearing aids are substantially smaller, both in length and width, compared to the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids. Will this be a problem for you? Well, it really just depends on the size of your ears. Now, I'm not here trying to be an apologist for Phonak and the size of their devices, but they do have 2 chips inside of their hearing aids, and that deep sonic chip that uses the deep neural network requires a lot of battery, so they had to put a bigger battery inside it as well, and that extra waterproofing that makes these one of the most waterproof devices on the market right now takes up more space as well. Okay, next let's talk about the accessories that you can get with each one of these hearing aids. So the Oticon Intent hearing aid accessories are rather limited. They have the Oticon TV adapter 3.0, they have the Connect clip, and they have their remote control. Oticon has really not updated any of their accessories to a significant degree over the past like 5 to 7 years at this point. And honestly, when you get into really big group situations and you're trying to hear multiple talkers, Oticon really doesn't have a good option for you for that. Phonak, on the other hand, has some of the best accessories on the market. Not only do they have their pretty standard accessories like their TV connector, their partner microphone, and the remote control, but they have all of their Roger microphones as well. These Roger microphones include the Roger On, the Roger Select, the Roger clip-on mic, and the Roger table mic that can handle almost any noisy situation that you throw at them. So if you have a really bad speech and noise score that is identified by your hearing care professional, you may have to lean towards the Phonak devices if you're going to need accessories. And last but not least, probably the comparison that pretty much everybody was waiting for is how good do these hearing aids perform in background noise? Now, Oticon was the first hearing aid brand to release a hearing aid that had a chip that was trained with a deep neural network. Now, I want you to think of a deep neural network as an artificial computer brain that you feed a ton of data into, and then that brain actually learns what speech is and it learns what noise is, so it can filter out the noise and give you the speech. Now, inside of the Oticon Intent hearing aids, Oticon actually updated their deep neural network to version 2.0. They trained it with 12 million different sound samples, and they refined the outputs of it. They also combined their new and improved deep neural network with their new 4D sensor to help better separate speech from noise. This allowed Oticon to achieve up to a 9 decibel signal-to-noise ratio improvement with up to 12 decibels of noise reduction. The 4D sensor resulted in a 15% relative improvement in speech comprehension and a 35% improvement in speech intelligibility index over Oticon's previous generation technology. And these improvements have been extremely noticeable by previous generation Oticon hearing aid technology users. All that to say is that people who wear the Oticon Intent hearing aids in background noise do really good in background noise. The Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids also have a chip that uses a deep neural network called the Deep Sonic chip in combination with their Era chip. When you get into a noisy situation, that's when the Deep Sonic chip actually kicks in and starts using its artificial intelligence to separate speech from noise. The Deep Sonic chip was trained with 22 million sound samples through 4.5 million neural connections and performs 7.7 billion operations per second to effectively separate speech from noise. This chip requires a ton of processing power and has 53 times more processing power than other chips on the market. Now, when you combine the performance of this Deep Sonic chip with directional microphones, you can get up to 10 decibels of signal-to-noise ratio improvement, no matter which direction sound is actually coming from. In terms of performance, both of these hearing aids are fantastic when it comes to background noise. However, independent hearing aid lab HearAdvisor did evaluate both the Oticon Intent and Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids to see which one of them actually performed best in background noise. And here were the results. When fit to an NAL/NL2 hearing loss prescription for a mild to moderate hearing loss, verified with real ear measurement, the Oticon Intent and the Phonak Sphere Infinio were at the top of the list when it came to performance and noise. On a scale between 0 and 5, with 5 being the best, The Phonak Sphere Infinio scored a whopping 4.6, and the Oticon Intent scored an impressive 3.7. Now, if your initial reaction to that data is that the Phonak Sphere Infinio hearing aids must be substantially better than the Oticon Intent hearing aids because it scored almost a full point higher, I would have to agree with you. However, it's also very important to understand that the testing done inside of a lab is different than what you would experience in the real world. And depending on your type and configuration of hearing loss, with a combination of different rubber domes or custom ear molds, your performance could vary widely between these two hearing aids. But all things being equal, when you directly measure the performance benefit of each of these hearing aids, the Phonak Sphere Infinio did come out on top when it comes to background noise. As far as real-world performance goes, when I tested both of these hearing aids in really noisy environments, I happened to notice that both of them did a very good job in background noise, and I would give a slight edge to the Phonak Sphere Infinio devices. That being said, as you can see, there are a lot of different variables that come into play when you're trying to determine which one of these hearing aids is best for you. Honestly, you could take two different people that have identical hearing losses, and one of these hearing aids could be better for one of them, and the other hearing aid's better for the other one. Perhaps the most important variable is the hearing care professional who's actually fitting you with either one of these devices. If you have a hearing care professional who's better with Phonak, it might make more sense to lean towards a Phonak hearing aid because they're more familiar on how to program them better for you. But if you get someone who primarily dispenses Oticon, you'd probably be better off going with the Oticon. Of course, if you're still confused after watching this comparison, I would recommend that you go watch my other detailed review videos, and ultimately, if you have an excellent hearing care professional who follows best practices and they work with multiple different brands of devices, they should be able to identify which ones are actually best for you and make the recommendation.